Alright friends, it has been a minute since we have been live here on the channel, but we're back. The Crucible Brothers is back in action, and frankly, I got a bone to pick today, because I'm back, I'm playing the Crucible, and frankly, there's been a lot of good changes to the Crucible with the start of Season of the Witch, and overall, I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to play thus far, but there is one big, gigantic, very large flaw that is holding back the potential of Crucible this season, to the point that I think Bungie needs to actually jump in and take immediate action. I would go as far as to say that this exotic deserves to be disabled until further notice due to what it does to the game when other people use it. I am of course talking about the Antaeus Wards for Titan. If you're at all familiar with Trials, if you're at all familiar with some of the sweatier quick play matches, you've seen this exotic going around, and frankly it's just unfun to play against. As it turns out, the moment that one person puts on a on-demand immunity shield, they can suddenly ruin the game for everybody else. So today, we're going to talk about why the Antaeus Wards are broken, why they need to be disabled, and what Bungie could do to remedy the situation right away and potentially rework this exotic into something more healthy for the game. Anyways, my name is Lionhearts, welcome back to the Crucible Brothers, and make sure you guys take a second, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below to help out the YouTube algorithm, and let's get right to it. So, for the uninitiated, the Antaeus Wards work off of their main perk, Reflective Vents. After sprinting for a short time, you now have the ability to slide and put up a total immunity shield in front of your face. While the shield is up, all damage is negated and certain projectiles are reflected back at whoever shot them and become your own damage source. So, obviously right away we see the problem here. Destiny is a very aggressive game with a very aggressive time to kill, and anything you can do to augment the time to kill in your favor means you are more likely to win your fights. This is why stuff like Warlock healing rifts, any form of damage resist, the overshields that Void Titans get to use. These things are very powerful tools because they make the time to kill that you receive longer, which gives you more room to win the gunfight. The main difference being that we're talking about the difference between healing or damage resist or an overshield versus total immunity. The ability to slide around the corner into a gunfight with, say, a shotgun against another person using a shotgun, and the other person's shotgun now no longer does any damage while you get to get the full meat shot, is a very unfair interaction. There is nothing the other person could have done to win that fight. See, when you fight someone who's in, say, like a healing rift or is using an overshield from Void Titan, you still have opportunities to outplay what they're doing. They're still vulnerable to one-shot abilities, they're still vulnerable to one-shot weapons like snipers, fusions, and shotguns, and you can outposition and avoid them. If someone just slides around with the Antaeus Wards, you have zero options for counterplay, which is the #1 biggest issue with the exotic. Anytime you remove the ability for the other person to outplay in a gunfight, you have introduced something that is frankly bad game design. And I know that when we say bad game design, that comes across as armchair developer because we don't know what goes into designing exotics, how difficult this space can be to continue to innovate year after year, but frankly some things are very obvious. When you're in a PvP game, total immunity to damage needs to be handled very carefully. And this is where we get into the realm of the differences between degenerate tactics and things that are actually just unhealthy for the game state. And I'm going to use another new thing from Season of the Witch as a perfect example. The new Warlock Strand aspect, Weave Walk. You see, when you use this new aspect on Warlock, you're able to enter a state where you have almost 90% damage reduction while remaining to be able to move around the map. And this aspect is incredibly strong in its own right, and it's led to some really, I think, unhealthy strategies in competitive, which led to them disabling Rift in competitive in the meantime. But the difference between Weave Walk and Antaeus Wards is that there are trade-offs when you use Weave Walk. When you enter this damage-reduced state, you can't shoot your gun. You are not able to fight back. You can take position, you can scout for intelligence, you can obviously take the Rift Spark and do shenanigans with that, and you can be a general nuisance while taking absolutely absurd amounts of damage. But you cannot fight back outside of your thread lanes. Antaeus Wards negates all damage when you slide at something, and you are still able to deal full damage while you do it. That's the difference. We move from the realm of degenerate strategy into game-breaking strategy. Every single game of Trials, when a Titan walks in with Antaeus Wards, that Titan has just warped all close range engagements for the entire game. because as soon as they slide into a close range fight, the enemy team is at an automatic disadvantage and must play differently. This is inherently unfun, it limits counterplay, and it limits what people are able to do in terms of build diversity. Because if someone else is using Antaeus Wards and you were on Titan, you were almost forced to use it back. It harkens back to the days of the old broken version of One Eye Mask, where if you didn't use it, you were leaving something on the table. You were at a disadvantage the moment the match started. And that's just not healthy for the game. So what can be done immediately? Well, first off, I think we need to acknowledge a few things. One, there is no PvE use case for Antaeus Wards. They aren't used anywhere for anything outside of PvP, and specifically for ruining the PvP experience, in my opinion. So I think it's safe to assume that we could disable Antaeus Wards until a rework is implemented. This exotic doesn't need a buff or a nerf. It can't just be have the sliders adjusted. The fundamental design of this exotic will never work. They've tried to tweak it in the past. When it first came out, the shield didn't work sometimes. Sometimes you would die to self-reflection. Other times it wouldn't reflect all the damage. And anytime they ever buffed Antaeus Wards, it would break the game. They would have to nerf it. Then they would try and buff it again. It would break the game. They have to nerf it. And here we are again, where Antaeus Wards have been left alone in this state where they still can negate all damage the moment you slide and ruin people's games. And it's to the point where they just need to go back to the drawing board. They need to just redesign this exotic. I don't know what they can redesign it to do, but it needs to do something else. Maybe it's sliding gives you an overshield or starts your health regeneration, or it's something else. I don't know. I'm not a game designer, but they need to just go back to square one. The shield will not work. It will never be balanced. Let's just look to another game, for example. If we look at Rainbow Six Siege, how many of you remember when Blackbeard first came out? Very, very long ago, like 7-8 years ago, Rainbow Six Siege. That was one of the most broken operators to ever exist, even now. And what did they do? They nerfed Blackbeard's shield to the point that it became a meme. It just became non-useful, and the operator stagnated, absolutely useless for years. Shielding is just something you have to approach very carefully in a PvP game. Look at the issues we've had elsewhere with Titan barricades. We're only just getting to the point now in this season with the current Titan barricade health plus recharge, where barricades aren't arguably the best utility in the entire game, and they're still very strong. Anytime you can put up your own cover to negate damage is going to be very strong in a PvP game, especially as one as fast as Destiny. And think about the untapped potential of Antaeus Wards. Antaeus Wards right now are mainly used for aggressive titans with fusion rifles and shotguns, like in this background gameplay. But there is a lot of unused potential for Antaeus Wards with snipers. Because let's just paint a picture. You're playing Endless Veil Trials. You're holding the midpoint in Endless Veil. You're holding it with a sniper rifle. You're trying to get that first pick for your teammate, and the enemy sniper slides around the corner with Antaeus Wards and quickscopes you. Even if you react fast enough to flick to that Titan sliding in, it doesn't matter because his immunity shield has just won him the fight. There is so much potential for this exotic to continue to ruin the game at multiple levels. We just need to step in and say no more. There are more than just Antaeus Wards in terms of problems in PvP right now, and we'll save that for a different discussion. But right now, PvP is actually on its way to a pretty healthy state in terms of the feel of the gunplay once again. It's actually felt incredibly balanced in terms of primaries after the rain shakeup this season, but it's so hard to enjoy because, 1 out of 5, even like 1 out of 3 matches, and pretty much every other match on a Trials weekend, we have to deal with Antaeus Wards holding this game back. So Bungie, do the right thing, disable Antaeus Wards in PvP, rework the exotic, and we'll be one step closer to a much better Crucible. That's pretty much all I got. Obviously, we've been gone for a while. A quick little update on what's going on there. Obviously, the state of PvP has been pretty bad these last few months, and it got to the point where, a lot of people were saying, hey, just step away from the game. If you don't like playing PvP, why do you keep playing it? And to be honest with you, I agreed. So we just stepped away. There was no point to continue to play PvP because of how frustrating it was, because of how little feedback there had been. Obviously, things are still not in an ideal place, I think the state of the game was not the step forward that we thought it was, but that's been talked about ad nauseum within the community. But I do want to give Joe Blackburn, the team, the benefit of the doubt with what he said afterwards in his personal developer video and what the PvP Strike team might bring forward. And with that, the changes that launched with Season of the Witch, the range shakeup, the continued adjustments to the matchmaking algorithm, while not perfect, have felt slightly better. I still think control and quick play being skill-based matchmaking will always be a fundamental flaw. It's just not going to work because the game cannot balance lobbies for everybody, and balancing to a 50% win rate will never be fun, especially when it comes at the cost of people's connection quality. So there's still a lot of problems, but there is enough going on the PvE side of the game, stuff we'll cover in a future video, that I'm back. Me and Gumi are back. We're playing Destiny again, and I will play PvP and we'll make more videos on the channel. I don't really know what those videos are going to look like or what we're going to cover, but for right now we're starting here and we'll move on. Thank you guys for your support. If you've been hanging out on our Discord, you've been seeing what's going on, make sure you guys check out my Twitch stream, link down below. I've been streaming Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield, Destiny, and Teamfight Tactics. I've been streaming a lot with my brother. So if you guys want to come check out the Twitch stream, that would be amazing. Other than that, guys, yeah, we'll see you soon with another video. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day.